Good morning, HoustonFloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning my guest is Kevin O'Meara, the Vice President of Supply Chain with Shaw Industries. Kevin, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Kemp.
I want to talk to you about several things. I want to catch up on the state of the supply chain business and also talk about the Home for Our Troops, a philanthropic focus for Shaw, in addition to what you guys do with St. Jude. We'll get to that in just a minute. Background on you, you've been at Shaw for 4 years, 3 years in this role. You've got 30 years of supply chain focus, some with Whirlpool and then with various trucking and logistics companies. Also, I'd like to recognize, though, and this is very important, that you're a veteran, you're captain in the U.S. Army and served in the Army for 9 years, right?
That's correct. Exciting time.
Thanks for your service. It looks like you went to Cornell, then you joined the Army, and you served our country, and then you went to business school, and then you got in the logistics business. Is that right?
That's pretty much the way it worked, and I learned a lot about logistics and supply chain in the military. Because when I was going to school, there were no real majors for that, so you kind of learned it on the job.
You know, I've heard stories in the Navy about how they had ships pull up beside the bigger ships, and then they strung a cable across. Logistics in the military it's a big business, isn't it?
It is. It's really big. In fact, I was in during the first Gulf War, and I was assigned to run the Port of Rotterdam for the Army as we were deploying out of Europe and going to Saudi Arabia. And I ended up doing some things that I never thought I would do, but it was exciting times.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about supply chain. Most people know, I mean, when you start thinking about the issues in the business right now, there's three things we're worried about, and supply chain's one of them. Give us an update, and not necessarily from Shaw's perspective, but just from an industry perspective. You know, when things going to normalize? What's going on with container prices? Give us an update.
The supply chain issues are obviously global, and they're across all industries. You know, just to do a little bit of a backdrop, what's happened in the supply chains is normally the supply chains are designed globally, so understanding that one industry will be up, one industry will be down, different things will happen. And, of course, during this cycle, everything moved at once. Everybody stopped shipping, then everybody started shipping almost immediately. So that fluctuation has caused a big issue. I would say that we're seeing a little bit of stabilization. I'm not sure things are getting much worse, but we are seeing some pockets where things are starting to improve, but it's going to take a while, Kemp. It really is. In fact, I would say when I get asked this question, when will things improve, there are two dates that I have in my head. One is the end of the first half of 2022, and think that once we get through Chinese New Year, holiday rush of retail, we'll get a little bit of normalization. But then the second date that I really look at is January of 2023. And the reason why I look at that is that's when a significant volume of ships are coming online that will match this increased demand that's going on globally. And you know, as you can imagine, you can't just buy a ship and put it in the water tomorrow. I mean, it's quite a long lead time to do those things, and that's what I would say is going to happen.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a crystal ball question, because one of the big factors is the other thing we worry about is inflation. Because if inflation's at 8% and everything we buy costs more, some of our passion for new items might cool off, and that might help as well.
That's absolutely right, Kemp. Of course, as a person that's first and foremost selling beautiful flooring to the industry, I'd rather the problem get solved with capacity increases than demand decreases.
Yeah, me too. You know? Exactly. And as far as container prices, they're still where they have been. I mean, it's astronomical, isn't it?
Yeah, they're astronomical, and they've stabilized a little bit. They continue to fluctuate up. We've seen a little bit of improvement in them in the last couple weeks, but it's more of a blip in the curve that we measure. We have seen some instances where we've been able to get some ships in here at a little bit lower price, but nothing material. And we actually have really focused on our Cortec brand and getting as much of the Cortec brand in as we possibly can. We've actually chartered 3 ships, and of course that's an expensive thing, but it gets the volume in that we need.
Yeah. Give the listener a little bit of a feel for what you got going on down in Savannah. I mean, you got a massive operation down there, don't you?
Massive operation down in Savannah, and we are 5th largest importer into the Port of Savannah, and that's right behind the big folks that you would expect, the Lowe's, Home Depot, Target, and Walmart. And we have close to 4 million square feet of warehouse space. We're bringing in hundreds and hundreds of containers a week. And it's one of the big efficiencies we have in our supply chain is by setting up in Savannah, we're able to turn those containers and get the empties back to the port very quickly, which the ocean folks really like, and I think makes us a preferential shipper for that, because what the ocean folks don't want is they don't want containers to go inland into the United States. They want them to come back as fast as they can, and we're able to do that down in Savannah.
Yeah, that's huge scale. All right, let's talk about this Home for Our Troops. You guys have taken this on, got started up in the Northeast, and you guys donate the flooring. Give us a feel for what's going on there.
Yeah, it's a great organization. It's really started off with a gentleman that was here and is retired, Chester Chafin, and myself. We looked at this. We really wanted to do something special for soldiers and sailors, airmen, Marines, and just how can we really step in. And this is an organization we did a lot of research on. They are one of these organizations that virtually all of the donations go to the veterans. There's very little, if any, overhead in this organization. It was started by a contractor up in Massachusetts that wanted to build homes for soldiers that had been injured in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that's one of the requirements. They have to be coming out of Iraq or Afghanistan, and they have now gone countrywide. We're so proud to be a sponsor with that, and we provide flooring to all of the homes. And an interesting little twist, my former company actually provides all the appliances, so it's a really great company to do this with.
Okay, so it's Whirlpool appliances and Shaw floors.
That's it. You got it.
Right. So you're doing the 44th house, right? Is that right?
Yeah, 44th. We're on to our 44th, and of course a number more will start. They have a process where the soldier has an application process they go through. Once they go through that application process, they identify 4 homes for our troops where they want to live. Usually it's, with family somewhere. Then Homes for Our Troops finds a contractor, finds land, and starts setting that up. And of course then the veteran is able to choose their flooring, and then we work with the general contractor to get it installed.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Shaw's a great company for supporting that. Appreciate you giving us an update on both those topics. Again, been talking to Kevin O'Meara, the Vice President of Supply Chain with Shaw, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.